super excited to be back this week, especially with something a little different rather than what we've normally been doing. But man, oh man, it's going to be a great freaking week. And I'm super excited for you because you're about to head out to the Sunshine State, Los Angeles.
Yes, the City of Lights. I'm so excited. If you guys are fans of the other podcast, our mental health podcast, Everything's Okay, I had the pleasure of interviewing 4 lovely ladies of the Yoniverse. And as promised on the show, I am flying out to check out the show. It's going to be amazing. I'm super excited. And I'm also going to be able to see a bunch of our friends that we haven't seen in quite a while. So I'm pumped. And maybe, just maybe, you might see our little Crazy Ant logo on the picket line somewhere. If I can get out there and show our support for our friends, I'm going to try to do that too, because I think, it's going to be a fun trip. That's all I can say. Stay tuned because I'll be posting everything everywhere all the time. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, super freaking excited. And yes, he teased that interview of Everything's Okay. So go back and listen to that one. Breaking Boundaries, a conversation with South Asian women.
Yes.
It was an amazing conversation. I'm super excited for everybody to hear that. But I'm super excited for today's episode because we are going to be talking all about the hidden gems on the streamers, because due to the strikes, there may not necessarily be a lot of new stuff coming out in the upcoming week. So we're going to be talking about all the stuff that is available right now on each streamer that you can catch and watch and get a little crazy with, whether that be the hidden gems or whether those be the ones you have on your watch list or you just haven't started yet. Yes. So it's going to be an amazing episode. So let's get a little crazy. What's up, guys? Oh my goodness. Welcome back to another episode of ITCAFpodcast. It is episode 234, and you guys know your host with the most, myself, J-Lo Fantastic, and the one and only Mao.
What's up?
Guys, it's going to be a great freaking show. I'm super excited about it. But before getting into it, before teasing and getting a little crazy, be sure to leaving a rating on this podcast, because commenting below and tell us what you actually think about the show actually helps the podcast get seen by more people, especially those who are trying to break into the entertainment industry. We're all about lending a helping hand here at Crazy Ant Media, so that is very important. And please help us out by doing that so we can start helping out so many others who just don't know what to do in this time of need. But man, oh man, it's going to be a great show. I'm super excited about it. But before we dive into it, be sure to head over to our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. It is fall time, so you can pick up a nice sweatshirt. You can pick up some throw pillows, all the different things that you think you may need for your home. Well, you can get them right here at crazyantmedia.com.
Facts.
Now, it's going to be freaking awesome, guys, because we're going to be deep diving into all the different streamers like I teased about a little bit earlier. And man, oh man, there's a lot of stuff that you may not have seen yet or have seen, and maybe can give us a little comments on what your thoughts on the show or movie are. So I'm super freaking excited.
Yes.
And of course, you guys know every week we start with Disney. So of course, we're going to be starting with Disney Plus. Oh my goodness. The first one on the list that I definitely wanted to mention, because I think it's the hottest thing on Disney Plus right now, and that is Star Wars's Ahsoka series. Now, this is an amazing series. This is honestly the first time that I have felt like it was Star Wars again. Now, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love The Mandalorian, but in my opinion, it's more like a spaghetti Western set in the Star Wars universe. It is amazing. It is great. But this feels like OG Star Wars. You have so many great lightsaber battles. You have so many great returning characters from either the prequel series and all of the animated shows, especially like Rebels. I know that was a huge popular one back in the day. So you get a lot of that concept from all of those different projects. And they broke boundaries, guys. That is right. In this show specifically, it is the first time that 2 females have squared up in a lightsaber battle. And man, it was honestly one of the most epic scenes in Star Wars history. So I just feel like, that just had to be on the list, because I know you're watching it too and you're feeling the same passion.
Absolutely. It is the most Star Wars of Star Wars. that we've seen in a very long time. And I was making the joke. I'm getting so emotional about it. Just kidding. I'm not. But I made the joke, F to the third power. And what we were joking around with that is Filoni, Favreau, and the Force. The three Fs that we trust to guide the Star Wars universe. And I really feel like if you look at The Mandalorian and the success that The Mandalorian had, and then you look at Ahsoka and the success that it's having, that's Favreau and Filoni. And Filoni was heavily involved in Favreau's The Mandalorian and vice versa. Favreau is an executive producer and heavily involved in Filoni's Ahsoka, of which, by the way, if you guys didn't know, Filoni created Ahsoka for the Clone Wars and all that kind of stuff. So this is his baby. But you can tell that they care about Star Wars. It's not like some of these creators that come in and they're like, we appreciate George Lucas, but this is our thing. No. You not have to only appreciate George Lucas. You have to remember it's his thing, and you are operating within his thing. So if you can do that, create something original within his thing, that works. And I feel like that's what both Mandalorian and Ahsoka, especially Ahsoka, has been able to do. This is Star Wars within Star Wars, but it's brand new and fresh. And it's amazing. And the casting was just brilliant. I mean, how awesome is Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka? It's and no spoilers here, but if you've seen the last episode, chapter 5, I think it is, it just definitively shows that no one else can play Anakin Skywalker.
It's true.
He is Anakin Skywalker, right? Not Darth Vader, because we all know someone else played Darth Vader. And look, Hayden Christensen is a great Darth Vader. He has owned the role young, right? But there's not a single person mask off that can play Anakin. He's just brilliant. I mean, this episode was phenomenal and I don't know about you, but I loved when they kept flashing him, Anakin Vader, and Ahsoka seeing the fear of becoming that, right? Like that, because I think that's what the whole episode was about. The current episode was she doesn't want to go dark. She feels like she's following that path, hence Ahsoka the White. We got to get away from the fucking dark, right? It's just such brilliant storytelling. It really is.
Yeah, I always love when the fans nowadays are showing Hayden Christensen so much freaking love because he deserves it from the very beginning. I know he got kind of trashed in the Clone or in Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace, but now the fan reactions and to see like how much his character and his portrayal of the character meant to people. It's such an amazing thing. And yeah, the way that the storytelling is being told, just flashing back and forth between light and dark, and how Ahsoka was able to see and identify the darkness that was inside of him during the Clone Wars and being able to bottle that up and push that all down, which inevitably caused him to turn into Darth Vader. I think they're telling that story absolutely beautifully. And I love how Ahsoka is, I mean, they're basically kind of the same people, right? When they both are very passionate about certain things, but don't necessarily always do the right things. And their masters are always like trying to correct them on their course. But Ahsoka being like, I would much rather leave the Jedi than, become something like this that turns me into a bad guy. It's kind of like what Bruce Wayne says in Dark Knight Rises, when he's like, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself turn into the villain.
Right.
So it's very much that balance of both. And yeah, I'm so much enjoying this series. It's the best thing I've seen on Disney Plus in a while.
And to put a exclamation point on the fact about Lucas, Ahsoka was never supposed to be Anakin's apprentice. It was created with the sole purpose of that wasn't even the story. And Lucas said it's Anakin's apprentice, and Filoni's like, no. He doesn't have an apprentice. He doesn't. And Lucas is like, it's his apprentice, but he doesn't have an. He does now, and Filoni knew. Like, okay, Lucas says it's Anakin's apprentice. It's Anakin's apprentice. I'm gonna change Ahsoka all up, and we're gonna go this way. But that's that respect of this is his story. And even though this is my character, I respect that it's his story, and we're going to work it into that. And now look at the brilliance of how it is. So I absolutely love it. And speaking with and keeping with that tone, I think one of the main things, especially of the younger generation coming up into the movies, right, is that is there anything else other than the Skywalkers, right? Because it was the Skywalker saga from the very beginning, and that was the big thing. Every time we were going to see something new, oh, it's just another aspect of the Skywalker saga kind of a thing. And The Mandalorian, and credit where credit is due, also Rogue One, right? Because I feel like that was the first kind of peak. But The Mandalorian does a brilliant job of showing you that there are other characters within this universe that are living their own lives and having their own shit happen and trying to get all through it and everything, aside from the Skywalkers. Mm-hmm. The bounty hunter being one of them, Mandalorians being one, a race of them. And so I love that now we're getting to expand the world outside of the Skywalkers. What's going on? Who are these people that we briefly see in the pub or briefly see on a ship? Who are these people? What are they doing through the rebellion and all this kind of stuff? Now we're seeing and all this. And we're asking questions. Mm-hmm. Where is Grogu? Grogu is not around with old Luke when the Jedis are obliterated. Like my water right there. Where is he? What happened to him? Does he, so they're setting up things outside of what's going to happen. And I love that. I love that we're getting to see more of this world and how other people dealt with the rebellion and the Empire and all of the kind of, it's just, and The Mandalorian, like you said, I like it because I think it sticks to what Lucas's initial intent for Star Wars was, a space Western with a hint of samurai. Lucas makes no bone about it. He's like, no, I fashioned this after Western movies and samurai movies. Hence the lightsaber swords and the guns and Han Solo looking like a cowboy. He made no secret that that's what it is. And so I think Mandalorian does a brilliant job of holding to that, but then creating this other world too. So I all in, and yeah, it's just brilliant.
I completely agree. And yeah, it was definitely because I remember Mandalorian was like their flagship project that they kicked off Disney Plus with.
Right.
And to have it be that successful in that amount of time, I think is special in the day and age of streaming, because we do get a little oversaturated with some things, and kind of like we have been seeing a little bit with all the Marvel shows and some of the other Star Wars shows, because they're not all beloved, right? I enjoyed the Obi-Wan Kenobi series,
Loved it.
But a lot of people didn't. But on the flip side of that, a lot of people liked Andor, but I couldn't really get into it because it was a very slower paced type of project. So it's these balancing acts of different things. And what I think The Mandalorian does really well that kind of fits the Star Wars mold is it also brings that family dynamic that doesn't necessarily need to be your blood. Because the relationship between Din Djarin and Grogu is something that I feel like you see with Luke and Han, to where like you build that brothership or that father-son dynamic and are able to bring this back forth where it is just all about family. Like take away all the sci-fi stuff, take away all the action stuff. It's just all about family trying to do what's right for the galaxy. So I just feel like, what they're doing with those two projects specifically is something very special. And I hope they continue moving forth with all of these different things for multiple seasons.
With F to the third power. Can we just
Yes,
get
with
rid of
F to the
can we
third.
just get rid of Kennedy, please?
Yeah.
Move forward with anything you want to do as long as we're F to the third power, and we will
That's
be
it.
fine. It will be
Yeah.
brilliant and everything will be great. In fact, if F to the third power is not attached and or involved with the Lando movie coming now, fail.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know Donald Glover's going to be great. He's going to be brilliant. He's a crafty guy. But he needs Favreau and Filoni with the Lucas influence to make that shit work. And
Agreed.
you got to do it. Bring them in. And I think Glover's smart enough to know that.
Yeah.
So we're going to see. We're going to see. But that's all I'm saying.
For sure, for sure. And another one that I feel like is very special and kind of, I mean, it's more Disney Plus than any other streaming service because before Disney Plus came out, you would see filmmaking, the process of filmmaking documentaries every so often, but they would be highly focused on either one person or like one actor or
Right.
just different situations like that. But I think something special that Disney Plus does is basically after every big movie, whether it be a Marvel movie, Star Wars movie, or just another one that is a classic, like the Frozen franchise or Encanto or stuff like that, they make behind the scenes documentaries, which I think is very special, very intriguing, especially to us as filmmakers. But I know other people are interested into the how-tos of the entertainment industry. We really enjoyed not only the Star Wars and Marvel documentaries, but the making of the Frozen 2 documentary. That was really freaking interesting because you're seeing how people are designing their characters. You're seeing how they play out a sequence and how they draw a sequence in this new computer atmosphere that we haven't really seen before in this format. I mean, we've always seen when it was the 2D cartoon drawn animation, you obviously have seen different documentaries on how they put that together and how they put it in the machine and it all blends together. But when it came to the computer aspect and Pixar, we never really got to see how they designed it on the computer. So I thought that was very special. I also thought it was very special the way they held their meetings with every single department of the film, and to be able to be 100% honest, to walk away from a meeting and feel like you really didn't get anything accomplished, but how they still feel optimistic and they trust their leadership and trust that their leadership has a vision. So even when they have disagreements or different things, because they don't try to sugarcoat it at all, which I think
No.
was very special. They still believe in the overall art. They believe in the leadership, and I think that's something that Disney Plus how to making of documentaries is doing something completely different other than all the other streamers.
Yeah, and that one in particular really showed what goes into an animated film. It
Yeah.
takes years to make. Not a year, not a couple years to make, and literally thousands of people. Like it was mind-boggling to see how many people touch that product to make it happen with what you
Yeah.
finally see on screen. It was amazing. And like you said, it used to be the brilliant artists at Disney sketching it out and then framing it, taking camera frames, but now it's this brilliant mix of still hand drawing, because they're drawing it on a computer now, but it's still hand drawing. And then they're computer animating it. And then there's 3D animate, like people with the ping pongs on, and they're motion capturing, and then they're using live models, actors or animals, and all of these things are blended to make this thing, and it's so unreal. Back in the day, the artist would use live Bambi. They would bring in a real deer or but the idea of merging motion capture with live animals and people with computer generated graphics and then hand drawn graphics and making all that work into an image that we see, it's amazing. And who knew, I don't think enough people knew that, there is literally a team for each character that's assigned to the character. There's 30 or 40 artists that are working on one character, and 30 or 40 more that are working on another character. And so yeah, the whole process is interesting. And what I also like about these documentaries is that it's a solid mix of that one being like a 2 hour long all in document. And then other ones that are like when I just referenced Lucas with Ahsoka, that was like an 8 minute behind the scenes, boom, this is how Ahsoka came together. And yet
Yeah.
just as informative and entertaining as the 2 hour one about Frozen. They're doing a really nice mix of blending that. Quick ones, here's what we do. Short ones kind of like, and then really long. They're also doing really well. Taylor Swift's documentary on there.
Yeah.
The Beatles one was phenomenal. So they've got other stuff outside of their franchises that they're also focusing on. And these are really in-depth shit you didn't know type stuff in the documentaries. And the music ones, they're just knocking out of the park as well, which you don't normally associate. Oh, you think Disney, you're not associating that normally with music, right? And everybody keeps asking me because you guys know that, Taylor Swift's Era Tour, it's going to be shown in the theaters, which, by the way, this might be the first film that I've ever heard of that makes $100 million on its opening weekend before the opening weekend even happens. It's already crossed $70 million in pre-sale tickets, y'all.
Damn.
But somebody asked me, where did I think it would end up? I think it's going to end up on Disney+. They had a massive hit when they did it with Hamilton, which is basically the same thing. A live concert on stage that they're going to film and put into a movie theater. And her one documentary that they had on there was massive in numbers for people watching it. So I think the obvious choice seems to me to be it should show up on Disney+. Just saying, people would... Anyway, I just think it's awesome. Another thing, we keep hearing about all the new Marvel stuff, the new MCU stuff coming out, how they're rebooting Daredevil, how we're doing this and that and kind of thing. And we're being assured that Daredevil is going to be Daredevil. It's going to be everything we want and more. It's going to be, But if you're nostalgic, if you're missing that, Matt Murdock kicking some serious fucking ass and Kingpin bashing heads in between doors and like... They have all of them, guys. They have all of the Netflix Marvel series. And we talk about it all the time, how good they were, how awesome they were. But you really kind of forget. And I've recently gone back and started Daredevil from the beginning. And even I'm all in again like it's the first time I'm watching it again. It's so good. And I'm actually catching things I didn't catch the first time around when I watched it. So, if you're a little nostalgic, if you're missing the Marvel shows and you're just kind of like chomping to wait and waiting, go back and watch the OG because I'm telling you, man, I am loving every second of rewatching these shows. And Rosario Dawson, brilliant in it. Like, just the whole cast is so good and just, yeah. So, and it's easy to find. It's under the Legacy. So it's boom, boom, boom. They've got it all played out. The Daredevil universe has got all of them. And it's a good way to set yourself up for the new stuff that's coming. Because
for sure.
Daredevil and Punisher and Jessica Jones, I think we're going to start over with Iron Fist and stuff and Luke Cage. But those characters are carrying over into the new MCU. So if you want to get a refresher course, you want to get caught up, who are these people? Jump in and watch them, man. You won't be disappointed, I'm telling you.
Oh, for sure. I remember when the third season was about to come out and you were like, what? You've never watched any of it? I was like, no. And then I binged through the first two seasons. And then, season 3 was my favorite because, obviously it was the return of Kingpin and Vincent D'Onofrio was just like epic fucking badass.
Dude.
But I love everything about it. And also we would like to say for that Daredevil, you will have to have an adult account with password protection because it's not under just the normal, children friendly account.
It's not, nor will the new one be, apparently.
Yeah. So be prepared for that. The next one I wanted to talk about is I don't know if it's getting canceled or not because you know how things are with the strikes right now. They're kind of being quiet about all these different things. But it's a basketball show. Who would have figured that I would like a basketball show? That is called Crossover. And we actually had Sabrina Revell on the show to talk about this project. It's freaking amazing. It's two junior high kids set in New Orleans. It is a black family that just shows you that, they can overcome the obstacles. They can be portrayed in the proper lighting. because, you know, a lot of times when it comes to black films or black pieces, something like that, they're shown in underprivileged areas, or where the
Right.
dad is absent, or where the mom is absent, or there's a drug problem or something like that. So I thought this was an amazing representation of inclusivity and diversity, and being able to show a quote unquote normal story in a normal setting, to where like nobody's doing anything crazy. But I love this project because it shows brotherhood. It's two twins basically battling it out. One twin has attention deficit disorder, so it's harder for him to grasp onto like schooling, different things like that. And then the other kid, of course, you know, with this being junior high, he's trying to be the most
Right.
likable kid, the best at everything, all that. But yeah, it's an amazing show. It's a great family show. You can sit down, watch it with the kids. Definitely recommend that. It definitely brings up the topic of conversation for different things. Because the dad is hiding kidney failure. Spoiler alert. So he doesn't want to bring that burden, quote unquote, onto his family. And of course it gets brought to light and all of this crazy stuff. But it is definitely really good. And I also wanted to mention Sabrina Ravel again, because she is taking a little break from Instagram. For all of you that follow her, everybody needs a little mental health break from social media. So
You
we
do.
commend her. We're happy for her, and we're hoping everything is all as well. Thoughts and prayers for her. She's an amazing individual that we cannot wait to talk to again, because like I said, it was an amazing conversation about anything under the sun other than just her film and television projects. So definitely check out Crossover on Disney Plus. It's definitely worth the watch.
Oh, without doubt, without doubt. Another one. This one's on Hulu with Disney. I was a huge fan of Justified. Justified was on FX. It was a massive hit. Just about anybody that you can think of current day that you've seen in anything was on this show at some point or another. Margot Martindale and Caitlin Dever and Timothy Oliphant and just like all these people that went through that show. Huge, huge fan. So when I saw that they were going to continue the saga, the next chapter, Justified City Primeval, I was all in, and it did not disappoint. If you guys were a fan of Justified, you're going to love Justified City Primeval. Raylan Givens is back, still handling his business, doing his shit, taking care of it. And there's even a little surprise. Is he done with Boyd Crowder? No, he's not. There's a little thing at the end there. But things like this. So, like, this was a continuation of the story that they had in the can prior to all the strikes that happened to come out when we needed stuff to come out. And if you jump on that, or if you don't know anything about it, don't worry, because Justified is also on there. The entire run of Justified is also on there. So if you have no idea who U.S. Deputy Marshal Raylan Givens is, you can jump into Justified, learn the whole story, and then jump into City Primeval, and you will not be disappointed. This is Gunslinger Western. It's Justified is the name of it because, let's just say Raylan has a few questionable shootings that were all ruled justified. Were they? Weren't they? He's a little trigger happy, but he got away with it all because he's a U.S. Deputy Marshal, It's a great show. It's really entertaining, and yet dark and then enlightening. It's about a dad struggling to make time for a wife that the marriage is failing. He's got a daughter, and it's like, but he's his life is his job, and the job is dangerous, and in the original show, it's like the backwoods of fucking Kentucky with like drugs and moonshine, and that's his area that he's like fucking racist, rebel flag waving motherfuckers. Like, it's a hardcore show, but it's brilliant. And then the second chapter here, City Primeval, he's called to Detroit for a case, and you can only imagine Detroit, and so it gets pretty intense there too. And the daughter is older now, and that relationship is going, and they're still struggling there. It's just really good stuff. So that's definitely a hidden gem. Justified was a hidden gem for me. It was something that I was flipping through and saw one time, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This seems pretty fucking awesome, and was able to go back and catch a couple episodes from the beginning and then just jump in. So if you're looking for a hidden gem and you're a fan of Timothy Oliphant or Margot Martindale or Caitlin Dever or like any of the, jump on this series and follow through, because it's well worth it. I'm telling you, you will love that series.
Oh, for sure. And we also want to mention too that if you like Justified and Timothy Oliphant and like that Western role, he may or may not have a little appearance in Mandalorian season 3 as kind of like a cowboy gunslinger too. So be sure to check that one out.
Of which Favreau and Filoni recreated a scene from Justified frame by frame in tribute to. That's why they cast him in that role. And so that should tell you everything. Should I watch Justified? The fact that they recreated a scene frame by frame for, yeah, you should watch. Enough said. Enough said.
It's so funny. Well, we're bouncing over to the bunny. Once was HBO Max and now Max. There's a lot of classics on here, guys. You can go back and like definitely do some film studies. Like Max has definitely been one of the streamers that I have been able to find a lot of the classics on and go back and watch a whole bunch of just amazing films, amazing filmmakers. But now I want to talk about this show that was very popular in the mid 2000s, going into the like 2011, 2012 season. And I'm talking about One Tree Hill. This is definitely it falls in line with those teenage angst movies, right? The OC or Dawson's Creek or, all of these different ones. But I chose One Tree Hill because you guys remember last year when there was that TikTok trend that was going like crazy because they had a reunion at Tree Hill at the gymnasium that they used to shoot at. And I always knew the show was about basketball because my older brother was obsessed with the show back then, but I had never given it a watch. But then I was like, oh, let me just watch the pilot. Me and Emily watched it. And I mean, we were hooked right in. Now we're like 6 seasons deep. There's 9 seasons altogether. But it's one of those that it's just so easy to watch. It does get a little soapy at times. I'm not even gonna lie, especially into these more adult seasons. But it's so entertaining. The complexities of each characters, and I honestly prefer ensemble casts more than 1 or 2 main characters because I feel like a good ensemble, it brings the story from all of these different vantage points and all these different perspectives to navigate towards one certain goal and one certain thing that brings them all together. Because some of my favorite things in One Tree Hill, or some of my favorite scenes, are when all of the friends are together going through something together. It's something very special. It's something that you can relate to. It's also something that you could be like, I just want to find a group of friends like that and just be in a town where you feel like everybody knows everybody. Of course, that has its pros and its cons.
Well, without doubt.
But
without doubt.
Next time I'm back in North Carolina and we go to Wilmington, I want to go to, because there's a river court, so to speak, that is very important to a lot of the main characters, especially the ones who played basketball, that they shot scenes there. So I want to go back to the river court and see what that's like. So yes, One Tree Hill, be sure to check that one out.
Well, you kind of touched on it. So like during that little time span, all these shows were basically the same, right?
Yeah.
They were all, they've got a group of friends. There's angst, there's drama, they're going through some shit, and kind of they were all very much along the same lines of storyline. But I had no idea, because to be fair, during that time, I was already in my 30s. I was already had a kid. I was married. I wasn't jumping onto these shows because the general idea was these were teen shows. They were about teenagers and all this kind of 30-something-year-old dad, married man's not jumping on these shows, right? I just didn't think. It's like, oh, that's cool. It's probably whatever. All the kids seem to be loving it. Okay, whatever. But, and you guys know, anybody who's a fan of this show knows that we're huge fans of Autumn Reeser, and I've seen the most obscure shit that Autumn has been in, right? Birds of Prey and Human Target and things like if you blink, you miss it kind of a thing, right? But the one thing she's most famous for, and still is even called Taylor out in public and shit, is the OC, and I had never seen it. Never seen it. So I decided when it showed up on Max to jump in. Like, let me check this out. Let me just see what it's all about. Now, she doesn't even come in until like halfway through season 3, and it's guest stars, and it's barely an episode here, barely before she blows up and becomes a huge star on it. But I had no idea how fucking intense this show was. The whole premise of it starts off, and Ben McKenzie's character is like, his brother is in huge, they're convicts. They steal cars and shit, and the brother is going to jail, and he's a minor. The mom's fucked up, the dad is gone, the mom is not, kind of a thing. And so the dad character, played by Peter Gallagher, he's a lawyer, and he sees that this is a good kid and wants to help him, and he doesn't want to see him end up like his brother. And he knows the mom is not good, not able, and this kid is going to stay in prison if he doesn't help him. So he brings him home to the OC, this rich community, the Orange County, and needless to say, the wife's like, what the fuck? What do we do? We have a son. What are we doing right now? Do we even know? Is this kid dangerous, kind of a thing? But it dives deep into, and he's resentful at first. He feels like he doesn't deserve it. He tries to hightail it out of there. This kid's basically going from sometimes living on the street and or in a dump of a house with his mom, and kind of now he's in the pool house, which looks like a fucking mansion attached to a mansion. And he's like, oh shit. Right. And so it's that we start off with like this thug that is brought into this world, but he's really a good guy. And he starts to build this relationship with their son, who's very closeted and very to himself and doesn't know how to be cool, gets bullied at school and beat up at school. And now he's got a thug in a jacket that can help him. And they start to build these relationships, kind of thing. And then there's the pretty girl next door who's got her own fucked up life, who he falls attached to, and they get into this thing, and she's drugs and alcohol and spirals down out of control. Then the bad brother at some point comes back and causes all fucking kinds of trouble that, he might go back to jail. It's just, I had no idea that the storylines were so intense. They dealt with everything from drug addiction to sexual assault to men in power manipulating women to I don't know, just if you think about a serious issue in today's society, they dealt with it face on, head on. So yeah, I had no idea. It's actually, guys, a really great fucking show. Like you said, it's serialized, so it gets a little corny every now and then. But Rachel Bilson and like Adam Brody and Autumn and Peter Gallagher and just the whole cast is phenomenal. And they played their characters so brilliantly, you couldn't help but get addicted to the show. It was one of those, I know you guys are doing this with One Tree Hill. I couldn't stop. I'm just like, California! And I had to just keep diving into every episode because I'm like, what the fuck happens next? And here I am. Now I'm not the 30-year-old man. Now I'm in my 40s going, I gotta see what fucking happens next. So if you guys get a chance and you've ever strayed away from, it's a teeny bopper show, I don't want any kind of thing to do with that, don't make the mistake. Trust him with One Tree Hill. Trust me with the OC. Dive into these shows, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
And isn't it always so surprising that they always have such good theme songs?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
What the fuck? I was just listening to it on my freaking iTunes before coming on.
Dude, same. When I was binge watching the OC, it's all I kept singing. California! You couldn't get it out of your fucking head. But yeah. And then, of course, these shows during that time incorporated those bands into the shows. There was a venue where they started bringing those bands and playing the songs, especially the theme song. But that was the go-to. If you were an artist in the early 2000s and you wanted to get known, you went on those fucking shows because that's where it was. And so all of a sudden, the venue that plays concerts and they are coming into
literally.
But still, it was still a good way to find your favorite music and watch this cool show. And I don't know, there are guilty pleasures at this point. If you go and watch them, you will find that you actually like them. Whether that becomes a guilty pleasure or you just own that shit. Either way, I think people who watch them will like them. just
Yeah, it's so freaking good. Yeah, the theme song for One Tree Hill is that one song that's like, I don't want to be anything other than. I'm like, oh my
yes,
God.
yes, yes. And now if you're ever out and about just randomly and you hear the song, you want to go home
I
and
go back.
rewatch the fucking
Yeah.
show. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's like that, right? Like I don't
It's
know.
so funny. But this next one I think is very special to both of us. It's very inspiring
You're
because every
welcome.
time I watch it, yeah, literally. Every time I watch it, like I want to write, I want to
Yes.
because it is it it is executed and just done so brilliantly by the one and only Aaron Sorkin. And he is definitely I feel like the best writer. I feel like that's easy to say. He is the best writer of this generation. I just feel like everything that he puts out, it's so damn good. But I'm talking about the West Wing. Okay, not only is obviously Dustin a political junkie, but I mean, I am over the past couple years since I started working in broadcast journalism. I have found a love for politics and learning more about politics. So this show came along at just the perfect time. And it is kind of crazy because you point this out all the time, but I see it more now that I watch it. But it is so crazy how it is very parallel to where we are now in society and the stuff they're dealing with in the show. It is the exact like fucking same.
Yeah, this show's
Um,
nearly 30 years old, and the issues that they are addressing are the same issues of today. And it's like, where the fuck are we? How are
yeah,
we still having this? How is our president of 2023 still dealing with shit they were talking about 30 fucking years ago? It's just,
yeah.
it's terrifying. It's terrifying,
Uh,
but
but yeah, I mean, just the cast alone, they have that amazing dynamic, even when they like disagree on certain things when it comes to either how Toby or Sam are writing a speech or how um Allison Janney's character has to, talk to the press about what is going on, and she needs to be like the first to know after the president so she knows what to say to these people or how to diffuse the situation. But everything about the show is so damn brilliant, man.
or what about the fact that a president who didn't necessarily lie, but didn't actually say the truth either?
Yeah,
Kind of a thing, right? So, well, and that, see, even that storyline, although different illnesses, right? Because I'm thinking our boy Biden is leaning more towards the old timers kind of thing. But there was
yeah,
a president that was being questioned about whether he was capable still of leading the country and making decisions. And we are
yeah,
still dealing with that today, which is just insane. And I want to just say this. I want to say that it was groundbreaking television.
mhm,
And not in the set, because if you guys know, if you know anything about Aaron Sorkin, it is heavily dialogue driven. The man is like all about the dialogue. And so if you watch any show today, any show, you watch Suits, you watch Billions, you watch whatever, you have Fire Country, any drama, you're going to see a portion of the show where they are walking and talking, right? They're going through the firehouse, they're going through the building, they're kind of a thing. That didn't exist really prior to the West Wing. And there's a reason for it. The network got it, the people were looking at it, and they went to Aaron and said, there's no fucking way they can just stand there and say all this shit. People will never fucking watch this. What are we supposed to do? And they literally groundbreakingly created the need to walk through the White House, going through offices, coming back out into corridors, and now, like I said, it's a staple in damn near every show you watch. But that was a creation of how do we address 6 pages of dialogue with having two people not just stand there. So the groundbreaking aspect of that show and what it brought to television and production in a whole, every week it was like you were watching a small movie. The cast was so fucking phenomenal and the dialogue was so phenomenal. And because of the production value that they had to add to the show because of the dialogue and it was like a little movie every fucking week. And I mean, it was brilliant. The show stands up to this day. You can watch it and not get lost in it. It's as brilliant today as it was 30 years ago. It needs to come back. They keep teasing that it's coming back. It needs to come back. Just the ratings when they recreated the episode, one of the episodes, for Max's launch, and it was all shot in black and white, and it was all the actors, but they were like, and they literally frame by frame, scene by scene, recreated the episode on stage, which was but the ratings were massive. That should have said right there, excuse me, people want to still see it? Like, we still want to watch it? Like let's go. Let's fucking go. And by the way, it's another show that anybody who you've watched in anything was on that fucking show.
Yeah.
Like, I go back and I've binge watched this series no less than 10 fucking times. I guarantee you. And it's a long ass series. It's 7-8 years long. Right? At least 10 times. And every time I'm like, holy shit, that's such and such, that I missed like the first 8 times I watched it or whatever. I'm like, who the fuck wasn't on this show? I feel like it was the 60s Batman where every celebrity wanted to be a guest star. I feel like that's how the West Wing was. Like, everybody was calling their agent, like, get me on this fucking show. I don't care if I'm on the fucking toilet. I want to be seen on this show, kind of a thing. It's just that good. So, yeah. And if you get this one, if you catch on to this one, go back and watch Sports Night if you want to see a dramedy, a dramatic comedy. Fucking brilliant. Josh Charles and Peter Krause. Or jump on The Newsroom. I got to get you on that one because you literally just made the connection. When you started working in news, you found The West Wing and the political... Go watch The Newsroom, which is all about news covering politics. It's a fucking brilliant show. Jeff Daniels and Olivia Munn and
I actually attempted to watch the pilot. I was under the influence, so I remember like not really grasping a lot what they were saying. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna shut this off, and then just never got back.
Yeah,
to
go
it.
back to it. Go back to it.
Sober watch.
Yeah, because it's already intense enough without being under the influence. I feel like you've got to be all in, or you will be all lost. There's no doubt about it. Because Sorkin is Sorkin, which is odd because Sorkin writes his best shit under the influence. Like, you take his mushrooms away, who is he? So the idea that you have to watch his shit straight, but he writes it fucked up is hilarious in itself. So let's just say this. Almost everything that Sorkin has done is on Max right now, so go fucking watch his shit. His movies are, they're brilliant. I'm so glad he made the transition into writing films and now directing, because this guy's just brilliant. Fuck.
Agreed.
Speaking of brilliant, dramatization. Probably true. Yeah. Probably true, though. It's dramatization because people got their panties in a wad watching it. Hey, you can't say that shit about us even though we know it's true. But Winning Time, the rise of the Los Angeles Lakers dynasty in the 80s, guys. Pat Riley, the ascension of the battle between Bird and Magic, the battle between fucking Norm Nixon and Magic, the battle basically between Magic and fucking everybody, because this was the guy that was the ego of, I'm the greatest of all time and all of you need to just get out of my fucking way, right? It's so fun. As a kid that came up during Showtime, that was my I lived Showtime, and I can tell you, it just transports me back to it. I'm like, I remember that. Holy fuck, I remember that game. I remember this kind of thing going down. It's the writing is fucking phenomenal. The casting, the people that they got to play Magic and fucking Bird and Kareem and even fucking Pat Riley. I would have never thought in a million years your boy, Adam Brody there, Adrian Brody, could pull off that. No fucking way. I'm like...
He's such a chameleon, right?
Yeah.
Like, he can literally fucking do it. He's the definition of a character actor.
Yeah. But this guy nails fucking Riley. Like, it's so just... If you love basketball, you love drama, you love the 80s... You have to watch this fucking show.
Yeah.
And our boy Spencer Garrett, our friend, our the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Spencer Garrett, plays Chick Hearn, legendary Lakers, brilliantly so. He's like the comedic relief. He plays the guy as such a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But it's so good that you can't help but love him. You almost root for Chick to say something mean to somebody because it's like, come on, give him some shit, dig into it.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny in that last episode I watched. They're about to fire what's his face.
Yeah, Paul Westfield.
Yeah, and Spencer Garrett's character walks out of the room. He was like, "I don't give him till the end of the fucking day." Oh, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah,
like talking about him that's about to get fired. I'm like, that's so funny.
Oh Jesus, yeah, this show is so good. Like I said, I think what this show did do. And it's funny because you hear Magic and Kareem and like several of these people come out and say, hey, that didn't happen. This is all bullshit. This is not how I was. That's not what I did. And then you have other Lakers saying, yes, it is.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
It's actually accurate. But you have not heard Larry Bird say anything. And they... I think the one episode where they do the flashbacks about Bird's life, I can honestly tell you that I lived in that era and I was all in on the Bird Magic thing. I had no fucking idea his dad committed suicide. I didn't know the backstory of Bird or how much of a chip of a shoulder he had. Like, this was an angry fucking dude and just wanted to prove that he belonged. Like, he's like, fuck you, I'm better than all of you, and I'm going to fucking put it up your ass every chance I get. And they really dive into that, and I'm hoping towards the end, because you start to see it towards the end in real life, that anger, that bitterness, that need to, belong, turned into respect and admiration and understanding that they needed each other to be as great as they were. And when Magic retired, the Celtics were begging him, and he's like, I'm going to finish the season. I'm not coming back because he's not here. I don't have the need to be here, right? So that relationship and the way it developed from animosity and hate towards mutual respect and need, I hope that they go that full route in because it seems like they're going to, and it's just so well done. And oh my God, speaking of O'Reilly playing Jerry Buss.
Yeah.
Holy shit, so good.
He's probably my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
Other than old boy playing Pat Riley, those two are my favorite characters, especially when like the whole Norm Nixon thing was going on. And Buss was like, listen, man, he unintentionally or inadvertently, he was like, this is my guy and this is who I'm going to lean on.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, and the whole thing he did with being on Magic's side and getting rid of the coach and things like that. It's an amazing series. I love seeing because there's all the entertainment industries, all the sports industries, they all get dolled up. They all get glamorized like in the media, but I love getting to the nitty gritty real life crazy shit that happens behind closed doors. And I think this show does an amazing job at it.
Without doubt. And I just want to give a shout out. I had to look up her name because I can never remember her name. But Hadley Robinson, who, by the way, I'm looking at IMDb. I'm like, is that the same person? She plays Jeannie Buss, and she is playing Jeannie Buss brilliantly. The daughter that adored her daddy and wanted nothing more than to please her daddy, but then the animosity that started growing when daddy didn't take her seriously. Need I remind you, she fucking runs the Lakers now and owns the Lakers and put everybody in their place, right? She did not only prove to daddy, but fucking took it from daddy towards the end. So, but she's playing that so well. I'm really enjoying following her storyline, Jeannie Buss's storyline. So yeah, just shout out to her because she's also doing, like I said, the whole fucking cast is just brilliant,
Yeah, so freaking good. Well, HBO Max has some documentaries as well. And this one's very interesting because how many times a day do you get spam calls? Do you get telemarketer calls? I bet at least five times a day you get called by somebody random asking for money, whether that be a fake organization or anything like that. So this documentary goes into like one of the main pillars of the starting of telemarketing and the craziness that is. So basically, this follows a company who poses as, they say they're a fundraising place for like retired police officers, retired firefighters, and things like that. And so they just call people all day looking to get donations. And the whole time this is happening, their office is it's a party. It's crazy. People are shooting up heroin in the bathroom, like they're having sex in the facility. Like it's like Wolf of Wall Street of
Yeah.
real life type
Yeah.
shit. Like it is crazy to watch. And then like going into how some things became illegal, because sometimes they would say when they're making those telemarketing calls, they would say that they're a retired police captain or they worked for the force before, but then they had to switch their wording a little bit where they said they were calling on behalf of a retired police captain or a union or things like that.
Yep.
So it's just very interesting to get to the nitty gritty of all these different scams and how these things are happening. So yeah, I wanted to throw that one out there because like it's so relevant on how many people get telemarketing calls per day, whether that be like phone calls, you get text messages now, you get emails all the
All
freaking
the
time.
time.
Spam is absolutely wild. So to get to the very beginnings of telemarketing and the people who are calling you are actually some crazy ass people or drug addicts or whatever, it's wild, man. Like it's crazy. If you haven't watched that one yet, I would recommend to at least watch the first episode and be like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, gotta dive in on that one. And if you haven't watched this one, highly recommend this one to you. Paramount's biggest mistake, in my opinion, letting this thing go, canceling it. Our girl Oprah, we love Oprah, saved it. But even now, I'm concerned it's not gonna get past the rest of this. I'm talking about All Rise with Simone Missick. Guys, first of all, it's loaded with Marvel people. Simone Missick from Luke Cage, Wilson Bethel, Bullseye from Daredevil, like Jessica Camacho from The Flash. So Marvel and DC represented, y'all. Lindsay Gort, just a phenomenal cast. But it's basically about a judge in the LA circuit. The storylines are unreal. It's got to be one of the most well-written legal shows that I've seen in a very long time, and I'm a legal show junkie. So I'm equally as politics and law. So it's my things, and it's so well done. But again, it's touching on racism. It's touching on drug addiction. It's touching on sexual abuse and domestic violence, and like all of these corrupt courts and police officers abusing power. It didn't stray away from touching on anything that was relevant happening today. They dive all in on it, and they do it in such a way that they're not trying to tell you one way or another how to think. They're just presenting it and saying, this shit is fucking going on. Here's the reality, and we're going to do it in an entertaining storyline so that you'll watch it. But it was so brilliantly done. So it was saved by OWN. They aired season 2. They aired half of the 3rd season, and then it went on a hiatus. While you're listening to this, the back half of season 3 is now on OWN. It's going to finish up. I am thrilled to watch it. I'm all in. I was chomping at the bit. It ended on like fucking people dying, a shooter at the courthouse, and like, oh my fucking God. And here's why I'm kind of like, I want you guys to jump on it. I want you to watch it as quickly as you can, and then I want you to call fucking Oprah and say, save the goddamn show. Save the show. Because the cast was released from their contracts. They haven't announced officially. OWN has said nothing. And I know you're thinking, like, I thought we were talking about Warner Brothers. OWN, Oprah's network, for sure. She's in full control. But it is a subsidiary of Warner Brothers, in case you didn't know. So that's why it's there. But, and it All Rise is a Warner Brothers production. But, yeah, it was released, meaning they haven't canceled it. They haven't officially canceled it. They haven't officially renewed it. But it's never a good sign when they release the cast from their contract obligations. So I want everybody to just storm this fucking back half of the season and go, look, guys, we want this. It's one of the most, if on a night where it airs, if you go to Twitter, you will see it's consistently trending. It's one of the most active social media feeds while the show airs that I've ever seen. It's got a massive fan base. So I really think people should dive into this thing. If you want to know more about it, if you want to know more about the subjects that they deal with and how the real life actors who maybe have or have not experienced things in real life that they bring to the characters and how they work it into it, go back and listen to our interview with J. Alex Brinson, who plays Luke on the show. Brilliant. It's one of our deepest interviews where we just get all kinds of deep into it. He flips the narrative on us and asks us questions, and kind of, but he dives really deep into how they bring real life into the storyline and how the actors are dealing with what the characters are dealing with in real life. It's just a really good interview and it's a really good show. So, yeah, jump on that one. I think I'm convinced you would love that one too. It's so good.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well, finishing out HBO and Max, we're going to be talking about Harley Quinn.
Yes.
I think this one is just, it's an all around good time. It's definitely not for the children. But it is, I love it though, because the animation is great. I love the way they went back to the 2D animation and the colors. I just think they pop like crazy, especially when you're dealing with a character like Harley Quinn. But everything about the show, it's just something that it's easy to watch. It's not something you have to be like deep dive into or overthink things about how characters are going to be portrayed or what their end game is and all of this different stuff. But I just, it's one of those that you put on for a relaxing evening and when you're just looking for a laugh, because you'll definitely get that one from this show.
Yeah. And to echo your point, it is very easy to watch. While not kid friendly, it's very adult oriented. It's very, there's a lot of sex involved, a lot of like crazy, just hokey things. But why I really enjoy it is because much like we were talking about with Filoni and Favreau staying true to the kid, this is very comic book accurate. It's true to the source material. And that's why I really love it so much. They do a brilliant job of it. And to show you how much they care about that, as you guys know, or if you listen to our show, and if you don't, you should be, Arlene Sorkin, the original inspiration for Harley Quinn, the original voice of Harley Quinn, literally the character was designed after her, literally, passed away, as you guys know, recently. And the season finale of Harley Quinn, they did a tribute to her. So that's how invested they are in staying true to the character, the origin of the character, where it comes from, and how it's portrayed. It was a really nice, in a show that's very raunchy and over the top, it was a very well done tribute to the creation of the character and respect to her. So, but yeah, if you like a raunchy good time and you're into DC, jump on this one because it's fucking fantastic, man. And if for anybody who doesn't know, it's Kaylee Cuoco who voices her, she's fucking great at Harley Quinn. So yeah, just dive in.
It's yours.
It is mine. Oh, yeah. All right. We're jumping over to Paramount now, who I just dissed for getting rid of, All Rise. But I will say this. Maybe that's on the CBS side of it. But on the Paramount Plus side of it, they are fucking kicking ass with some serious shows. And we all know where they're coming from, Taylor Sheridan. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they're all fucking brilliant. The first one I want to talk about, and yay, if you didn't listen to us a couple weeks ago, we told you it did get renewed. Jeremy Renner is I guess he's got Logan's healing factor, and he's good to go. He's going to be all in again because we were worried that he might not be able to do the show. But Mayor of Kingstown did get reviewed. Let me say this. Hugh Dillon co-created it with Taylor Sheridan, and Hugh Dillon, if you don't know, was the sheriff on Yellowstone. Before he wasn't. Anyway, he co-created this show. If there was ever a show to remind you to stay on the path of straight and narrow and never want to fucking end up in prison, this is the show. This is the most realistic. This is the shit that happens when you go to jail and why you never fucking want to go there. Like, this shit's hardcore. It's basically about a guy that's the mayor, but he's not. The mayor, he's the fixer. He's the correlation between street and cell, and he spent time in prison, and he basically, how would you say, negotiates or keeps the peace between the streets and the prisons. And
yeah, he's the liaison.
Yeah.
He definitely, balances, like it's a give and take thing, and he's the one who orchestrates the give and take.
Yeah, but this show, it's brilliant, right? Like, just it's all the portrayals, from the thugs and the drug dealers and the gangsters to the people in prison beating the shit and raping out of people, and the racism aspect of it, the Nazis, and like all the fucking shit. How corrupt the prison system is. Private companies don't give a fuck about these people. No, fuck rehab. Fuck them trying to rehabilitate and get back to society. It's all about the money. And they don't stray away from any of that shit. They are all in on showing you the stark reality of what it is like in the prison system and to be a convict in the current prison system. Highly recommend this show. It is very violent. Be aware of that. It's they don't sugarcoat shit. It's very violent, but if you want a really good, gritty, dark drama that highlights why you should be a good person, this is the show, Mayor of Kingstown.
Yes, for sure, man, for sure. And in the same vein, by the same creator, I really wish these two shows would do a crossover, because I think it would just be absolutely brilliant.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yellowstone. But man, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. This past season, when Costner was doing all of his bullshit, it wasn't my favorite. I feel like they definitely had to pivot from probably the original storyline and how they're navigating their characters and things like that. But still, like, Yellowstone is such a great series, and just everything that they brought forth with the family and how crazy this family is. Because like we were talking about with like One Tree Hill, the OC, right now we're in the day and age of television where families are fucked up. Okay, you have like Succession, you have Yellowstone, you have later on down the line of Fire Country, where like there's a crazy family dynamic, and like basically how do you navigate everybody's choices and decisions and how everybody affects everybody. It's a very interesting time in television when it comes to that family dynamic. But I absolutely love this show, and watching One Tree Hill, Casey's wife, the Native American, and she's on One Tree Hill. It's a very younger version of her. She's adorable, and right now she's actually like in high school. She was like this prim and proper like sophomore girl that used to date one of the main characters when they were seniors, but now she's like a college intern, and college has changed her, and she's playing like this I don't want to call her a slut, but she's a giving person. She definitely likes to have her fun, let's put it that way. And it's definitely a complete 180 of what she plays on Yellowstone, but it's an amazing transformation. But this is such a great show because it really is modern day cowboys and Indians, trying to balance that back and forth. And I saw the trailer for the upcoming season, and it's getting back to its roots, it seems like, because they kind of got away from that storyline for a little bit, but now it seems like they're getting back to it. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and like so many oftentimes, and we've referenced it about a few other shows while we've been doing this, it's the good guy that lives long enough to become the villain. The family's crazy, but it's for the right reason. They truly believe in their heart of hearts that they are defending their land and defending America from not being overtaken by corporate greed, that we need our space, we need the wildlands, we need the habitats for the animals. And so in their heart of hearts, they wholeheartedly believe that they are doing right, that they are the heroes of the story, even though they're bringing people to the train station that you never see again. But they're the heroes of the story. So they also touch on the difficulty of family dynamic, an adopted kid who's sometimes gets called out about, you're not blood, get the fuck out of here, and how on the total flip side of that, with Rip, someone who's not blood but is considered more family than the adopted kid. Like, so they do a really good job of just like all of that. But it's, yeah, I mean, if ever there were a family dynamic, and that seems to be the theme of all these shows that we've been watching, about how at some point you're trying to do everything right in your life, but somehow end up the bad guy, which is a very disturbing trend, but seems to be the thing on these shows. So, yeah, if you haven't checked this show out, and find it on a streamer, because they're showing it on CBS now because they don't have any shit to show, so they're going to bring that. You can't watch this on CBS. I don't even know how they're going to get a full hour out of it, even with commercials, because they're going to have to cut the ever-living shit out of this show to be able to show it on regular broadcast TV. So find it on a streamer. You want the real John Dutton. You don't want the edited John Dutton. You want that real shit. And trust me, you don't want to go to the train station. You want to know what I'm talking about? Just watch the show and you'll understand. You'll never fucking want to go to another train station ever again. Just, that's not a good place. It's not a good place. The next one, Taylor Sheridan. And holy shit, I jumped on this one. I was excited for this one. Huge Zoe Saldana fan. Obviously, Morgan Freeman, fucking Nicole Kidman. I'm like, how can you not be all in on this one? This is going to be fucking kicked out. This one called Jill Wagner. Oh my God, I love fucking Jill Wagner. She's just a gem. Special Ops Lioness. This is about a covert CIA team that's led by women. And that they basically go in and they do their shit. They do the shit that the regular military cannot do. They are not allowed to do. Quick response teams, which are basically the elite of the elite military people who also work for the CIA. And holy shit. This is a real thing, by the way. The Lioness program is a real thing. These people are fucking badass. And Zoe Saldana, she's been in so much great stuff. I've literally loved this. Is by far, hands down, and I can say this, even Guardians of the Galaxy, all of it, my single favorite role she's ever done. This might be the best single performance I've ever seen her give. The raw range of emotion from badass, I'm going to literally kick your nuts off, slit your throat, cut your hair, fucking put the bullet through your head, kind of to the broken down, beaten, crying woman that wants desperately to be home with her daughter but can't be because she has to be where she's at. The loving wife that's struggling to be the loving wife and have a relationship with a husband because she can't tell him shit about where she's at or what she's doing. And he's forced to be the mom and the dad, and just the range of emotion that she conveys in this show, unreal. And I feel like it really captures what somebody that must be in that role must really have to deal with on a daily basis. You know, you can't, how must it be to tell you can't say a fucking word to your kid about why you're never there? Why is mom missing everything? Why isn't she at my play? Why isn't she at the soccer game? I'm in a fucking car accident. Why can't she be there? Why does she only pop up, see dad for a day and is out of here again? Like, I can only even imagine what that fucking must be like, right? So this show captures it really, really well. But there was just this one scene where it just explains everything about the show. This guy like tried to date rape a chick, and the chick just happened to be their person. And they fucking hunt this guy down in the woods and stop him before he can successfully finish. And they take her out of there. And then home dude is grabbed by the team. These badass, big, hulking motherfuckers like grab this motherfucker. And Zoe Saldana's character's like, spread him. They spread this dude's fucking legs, and she just unfucking loads. Wham! And he's like, ah! And then she's like, wham! And fucking like it's like telling him this shit, and she says, you know, goes through all this shit, and she basically says, if you say a fucking word to anybody, we will kill kill you. We will find you and kill you and your fucking family. And then she's like, we need DNA. And these guys just take out a fucking knife and pull up his hair and just fucking scalp him after his nuts are fucking kicked off. Like, and I was like, holy shit, what am I watching? I don't ever want to see her in person ever again. Like, it's just... Yeah, it's if you like military shit and you like realism and you're a fan of any of these actors, watch this fucking show because it's fucking brilliant. It's hardcore good, and you'll see basically everybody that you've seen in Yellowstone and Mayor of Kingstown and King of Tulsa, and like Taylor Sheridan is classic at putting them all in different shows. So yeah, the one guy that's on the special teams op, he's literally been in he was in King of Tulsa, he was in Yellowstone, he was in Mayor of Kingstown. You'll know him right away. You're like, fuck, that fucker's got everything. He must have something on Taylor because he's in every fucking show. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Right.
But
That's
so good,
hilarious.
man. So good.
Yes, another one that is so good is the definition of a redemption story. And I'm talking about Fire Country. If you have not checked this one out on CBS or Paramount Plus, please do yourself a favor and do so. It's definitely family aspect, and like we were talking about earlier, but how I feel like Yellowstone and like Mayor of Kingstown does stuff to like get over on people. Fire Country does things for the best of intentions to, continue moving forward, respectable life, like all of these different things. But I just, to be someone who has messed up, as we all have, and to be able to see something like this portrayal in this show, to where no matter how much you've messed up, you can still get back on the right path, especially if you have the assistance of your family. It may not necessarily be the whole extent of your family, but some people take longer than others to gain back that trust, and this shows that in this show. So I just, it's an amazing show. We cannot talk enough about it. We've had the amazing Katrina Reynolds and W. Trey Davis on the show.
Yes.
Both play pivotal roles in that one on ITCAF podcast. So be sure to check out their interviews. But yeah, Fire Country is definitely, it was one that even when they started teasing it on social media, I was like, we have to watch that show.
For sure.
It looks so good. And it became one, like, it was my favorite freshman season that I've seen in a long time. So
yeah,
definitely check out Fire Country.
Oh, without doubt, without doubt. Next one, Billions. You guys, if you follow me, I post about this shit all the time. This is epic level show. We're getting a little long-winded because we're passionate about these shows, but we got to start gunning through these. So I'm going to try to speed these things up a little bit. But Billions, classic good versus evil. Paul Giamatti, Damian Lewis, good versus bad, but where's the line? Because they're both good and bad. You got your sheriff, you got your convict, but who's who? Because at certain points, it melds. Corey Stoll most recently comes in, but now Damian's back. Axe is back. But this is basically a harsh look at the world of wealthy and how they operate and how they live and how some people don't like it and want to take it down and the fight to not have it taken down. It's just a really brilliantly written show that exposes all of us. It exposes the good and the bad inside all of us, and that I think it does a brilliant job of, and I'll leave it at this, really putting into your head that to make you realize we do all have it. We all have good and we all have a bad side, whether we want to admit it or not. And this show does a brilliant job of showing that and how to cope with it. Just trust me, watch this show. Jump on it, watch Paul Giamatti. That's all you need to know. The guy's fucking brilliant.
I just watched I listened to a podcast with him on SmartList, and I didn't know his dad was the president of Yale. Like, this motherfucker comes from a line of teachers, and he's like, nah, I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah, and Yale that's so funny because Yale plays a pivotal role in the series, and Giamatti at some point tries to teach when he gets disbarred, and it's just not happening. He just doesn't. It's not his thing. So it's so funny that how, like I said, I feel like
they probably did that on purpose.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I feel like so often these successful shows know how to bring real life into these characters, right? So yeah, just brilliant. Man,
so good. The next one on Paramount Plus, the last one we'll be talking about with this one, is Survivor. I mean, come on. I have never met fandom so hardcore than Survivor. Like they are something else, man. And I do not doubt all of these Survivor fans have applied to be on the show at least one time, because they would just want to experience it. You start to think about whether you can or can't do it, or like the social game, or all these different aspects. But it's definitely going to be very interesting because now that instead of being a 45-minute episodes, they're going to hour and a half episodes just to get more in depth with each character and with each dynamic. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But we are huge fans of Survivor, so we had to put that on our list. I mean, come on, what, 42, 43 seasons?
Hell
It's
yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah, my boy Jeff Probst has single-handedly kept that shirt company in business. That's all I'm
Facts.
saying. Like, just you know, I want to see the house. If you guys don't know, we talk about it, we joke about it, but they only shoot in one location now because he loved the place so much. He literally built a house there, and that's where they shoot now. It's like I'm not
Yeah.
leaving the fucking island anymore. We're coming and we're gonna shoot it all here now.
Yeah.
Like you know, so yeah, just a great. I'm pumped for the new season for sure. I just referenced it. It heavily plays into stuff that we're working on. It's Billions. I became a fan of Billions because of this show. I've already talked about it. I'm a political junkie and I'm a law junkie. And I'm like a money guy. I'm like always been obsessed with Wall Street and that type thing. Suits covers every aspect of what I'm addicted to. It's like, and it's a brilliant. Initially, the show captured me because it reminded me so much of, even though they're not related, it reminded me of me and my little brother. An older, like, I'm the wise guy and I can teach you everything, young man. Like, and here comes the young guy who's, ooh, teach me. And then I'm going to kind of surpass you and start teaching you some stuff, kind of a thing. It's that dynamic, set in the world of, high-end legal, in the world of finance. And, I don't know how to explain it. The relationships, the dynamic between everybody on this show, not just between Harvey and Mike, but between Donna and Harvey, and like, I don't know. You can't. We could spend literally the entire show talking about this show. All you need to know is what we've been telling you over the past couple of weeks about how it's absolutely dominating both Peacock and Netflix. It's that fucking good. That's all you need to know. Jump on that shit and watch it, and you will be addicted, and you'll just run with it. And you'll concur that we all need a Donna.
Always.
All
Yeah.
we all need a Donna. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, another big one that has been very good for Peacock specifically, because it's a Peacock original, is Bel Air. Everybody saw that trailer of the drama, darker interpretation of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. It was kind of like a gag reel, like a proof of concept type of thing. Well, NBC, Westbrook Entertainment, and Will Smith, of course, they all saw the thing and they were like, "This is an amazing concept." So they created it, and it's been so freaking amazing. The first season deals heavily with stories that you already know from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, like the dad coming back into the life and him first moving out there and meeting a potential love and stuff like that. But now the second season, I don't remember if they dealt with this in Fresh Prince of Bel Air, but it's heavily dealt with agents before going into college and trying to scout younger individuals on how to play and getting them deals and giving them money and stuff like that. So it's been a very interesting second season. If you haven't watched it yet, it's really freaking good. The dynamic is absolutely crazy, and it's nothing like I've ever seen before, especially a new iteration of an old classic TV show. So I would definitely give Bel Air a watch.
Without doubt. And the one thing that they do really well is pay homage to the original show. They've brought in original cast members to play different characters, but and interact with the characters that they had played, kind of a thing. They do a really good job of that, and it's really exciting and fun to watch. But it is nice because I feel like Will Smith's real life is probably somewhere in between the comedy, right, and the drama. His real life is probably somewhere nestled in the middle of these two stories, which is really cool to kind of see play out and everything. It's a really good show. You guys really should dive into it.
Yeah.
The next one, in the criminal justice system the people are represented by, it's the single greatest legal show ever created in the existence of ever. I'm talking about the Dick Wolf franchise, Law and Order. Law and Order, Law and Order SVU, Law and Order Criminal Intent, Law and Order Organized Crime, Law and Order, anything you want to call it, because there's been so many of them. But guys, they've been on the air basically my whole fucking life. That no show does that unless it's good enough to be on the air that long.
Yeah, right.
Brilliant writing, brilliant cast, real life drama, real life stories, ripped from the headlines. That's their thing, right? They don't stray away from anything. They dive full in. It's another show where basically anybody that you've seen on anything has been on that show via guest star or starred on it for a little while, kind of vice versa thing. We don't have to talk about this one. You guys know it's fucking Law and Order. Everybody loves. I don't know a single person who doesn't like Law and Order. I don't. And we've been blessed to have numerous guests on the show that have been on Law and Order, because if you're a New York-based actor, it's a rite of passage. You have to fucking be on Law and Order to get anywhere in New York. So, it's a no-brainer, guys. Fucking watch Law and Order.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the final one for Peacock goes to Bupkis. And I know this one sounds goofy as fuck, and I don't know where they came up with the name, but it's loosely based off of Pete Davidson's life. I know a lot of people can, take Pete Davidson or leave him, but I think he's a hilarious individual who also has a lot of things to work through, like us all. But he's very public about it, so I respect him a lot for that reason. But I think this show is just hilariously funny. There's so many different aspects in it that you just wouldn't freaking think of. Joe Pesci is in it, plays his uncle, which is absolutely hilarious. The uncle from Everybody Loves Raymond is in it. He's so freaking funny too. So it's loosely based on his life and his comedic interpretations throughout life. So I would definitely recommend it. It's a nice half-hour comedy that's not hard to watch at all. So yeah, Bupkis.
There you go. We would say jumping over to Sony, but there's not currently a Spider-Man TV show on. And as we know, if it's Sony and it's not Spider-Man, they don't have shit. We're going to jump over to Lionsgate. This one, in fact, both of these that we're about to talk about, I don't know any other way to say it. I feel so bad for Stephen Amell, who got caught up in some twisted bad sound bites and came off really bad, but I understand his plight, because if you watch this show, I'd want to be out there promoting it too, which is why we're going to do it right now. We're going to promote the fuck out of this right now. Heels on Stars. Holy shit. We were talking about Sorkin, right? And we talk about our buddy Danny Strong all the time about the brilliance in writing. This has got to be some of the single best writing I have seen in an infinitely long time, in television or film. This is a hardcore, in-your-face, dialogue-driven drama about the behind-the-scenes world of local wrestling. Okay? Because if you guys don't know, if you live anywhere in the South, Florida or Alabama or Georgia or anywhere, Deep South wrestling was fucking huge, and the only thing about it was to get to the big leagues. But it's a massive thing that consumes these people's lives. That's what this show is about. Heels, because in wrestling you're either a heel or a face, a good guy or a bad guy, right? We all go. The theme of this whole episode seems to be that good guy, bad guy, and where does the line cross? Because inevitably we're all both. This deals heavily with that. It's about a father who created this dynasty and then tragically is not there, and we won't tell you why, but the sons are left. And the sons have this dynamic where they're against each other but love each other and are bonded and separated and kind of like, and then all of the mix of everybody involved in this family and how it plays out. Some of the most brilliant acting I've seen in a really long time. Are they tossing themselves off the top ropes? Sure they are. Are they beating the shit out of each other? Sure they are. Are they wearing crazy costumes? Yes, it's about wrestling. It's also about life. It's about marriage. It's about parenting. It's about family and brotherhood. It's about drug addiction. It's about sexual assault. It's about racism. It's about the South. It's about economic status and being here, poor and rich. It's literally all of that, and it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. If you're a wrestling fan, you definitely don't want to miss it. But if you're just a fan of life and how to figure it out and trying to figure that shit out, this show is for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, like you said, if you're a wrestling fan, definitely get into it. I think that's what drew me to it more than Stephen, because I liked Green Arrow, but I ended up dropping off of it for some whatever reason. I think I'd start watching Sons of Anarchy. But it's like one of those things where, yeah, you see superstars pop up in it too. Like CM Punk is in it right now because I know he got released from his AEW and WWE contract. So what's he doing? He's riding alongside with Stephen Amell in a wrestling show.
Yes.
So that's been very entertaining to see. But yeah, Heels is so freaking good, man. Such great acting and such great storytelling.
And
so be sure to check that one out.
Like you said, because if you only know Stephen Amell from Arrow or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that he did or whatever, because I don't think he gets nearly the credit he deserves as an actor. But if you watch this show, he should be in Emmy conversations nonstop because he's fucking slaying it. You get to see his real range as an actor in this show. He does a phenomenal job, as well as everybody else, Allison Huff and Kelly Bergelund and just like everybody. They're all fucking brilliant. Watch this show.
Yes. The next one on Stars that we want to cover is BMF, Black Mafia Family. Oh my goodness. This one is amazing. It's amazing storytelling. It is definitely an anti-hero type of story because it is based on true events that have been dramatized, kind of like Winning Time. But I'm guessing a lot of this shit really happened.
Which they say.
Yeah. It is about Big Meech and Tory Flannery, so that they basically came from Detroit and were drug dealers, and how they kind of took over not only Detroit, but then they moved down to Atlanta, and then they moved out to California, and like they got so involved in not only drug trade, but they also got involved in the entertainment industry because like a lot of hip hop nowadays and a lot of hip hop that came out like a decade ago, they will reference like their certain actions and certain stories that they are telling in this show. Because I know like it's absolutely wild. But it's amazing storytelling. It's amazing acting, especially the guy who plays Big Meech is actually Big Meech's son. So to have that dynamic in him to agree to actually come on, and he's a really good actor. I was very surprised by that. But yeah, it's a great freaking show, man. Should definitely check that one out.
Yeah, if you don't know the story of the Flannery brothers, you should read the story first and then watch this show because I don't think people realize that at a certain point during the 80s, they were the single largest drug dealers in the world. They were dominating the entire I-10 stretch, like Logan said, from California up to fucking, back up to Detroit. If there was drugs being sold, they were involved. They were the fucking people. White Boy Rick, if you ever saw the movie White Boy Rick, fucking went through the Flannerys. All that shit was being controlled by them. Just some scary fucking shit. And they have a scene in there that's much like when Linus, when kicking in the nuts and scalping and shit, when a fucking colostomy bag is like, this guy is beating the ever-living fuck out of him, kicking the shit out of this guy, just wailing on him. He's near dead from the beatdown. And then he empties his fucking colostomy bag in his mouth. Oh my God. That's this show. If I said there was a show that said you never want to end up in the prison system, there's a show to show you don't get involved with fucking drugs. Because this shit was fucking hardcore. But you're right, though. This is a very family-driven show that talks about the dynamic of these guys were doing the drug industry because they were poor and they were trying to better their lives for their families, and you didn't have much options. You went to be a cop and half the time ended up as a corrupted cop, or you were a fucking drug dealer. There was no in between, and these guys took it to the level that they thought just to do better by their family. And that is just mind-boggling to me, right? Like sometimes the most evil comes from the best of intentions. And it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
It
Another one,
is.
we're going to jump over to Netflix, and I'm talking about this series was a hidden gem. I only tuned into it because I had seen the movie with Matthew McConaughey. I was a fan of the book, Lincoln Lawyer. It's not Matthew McConaughey. It's not the movie. It's totally different, but totally the same. It's about Mickey Holler and his life as a lawyer, and was out of the Lincoln, and now he has his offices, and it's like brilliant, brilliant show. If you are a fan of the book, of the character, I had no fucking idea that Mickey Holler and Bosch were related. It's the same author, but they're actually like half brothers. I didn't have a fucking clue, but apparently they're going to be doing a crossover, or so I'm like all in on that shit. I'm like, I can't wait to see that. But Nev Campbell is in this. There's a bunch of series of people in this. Do you remember Barney's stripper wife from How I Met Your Mother? She is his second ex-wife. Right? Because he wife number one, wife number two. Nev Campbell is the first, and she's the second. It's just a phenomenal show that dives deep into the world of Mickey Holler, and they do a brilliant job. And again, it's a legal show set in L.A. I'd like to see a little crossover. Maybe we see somebody from All Rise mix up in there, like they're in the same courts. I don't know. Just a really, really great show that if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's good. And it just got renewed for season 3.
Look at that. Look at that. I also really like Netflix a lot for their documentaries, specifically their sports documentaries. I just finished watching the quarterback one with Patrick Mahomes, and the other guys who don't really matter, Kirk Cousins,
Mahomes, and
Kirk Cousins, and the other guy. But now I'm watching Swamp Kings, which is about freaking the Florida State Gators, or Florida Gators, and the whole tenure of Tebow and Hernandez, and like basically so many amazing athletes to come out of that swamp. It was just something that I really enjoyed. I remember being a kid and Tim Tebow being on top of the world. So it was definitely something that piqued my interest going into it. But it also was very interesting to see because at least 60% of that team are now fucking criminals or felons or in jail or dead because of like all of this crazy shit. But I mean, you know, Urban Meyer has an interesting track record, and I think all the other teams that he coached, NFL, whether it be college, I think this is the team that he's most known for. He didn't really make that much of an impact at Ohio State. He didn't really make that much of an impact at Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think it was really cool to give him this opportunity to tell this story of his tenure there, because I don't want to call it legendary, but historic, I guess you could say, because it's a very interesting group of individuals. So it's a fun one to watch.
It is. And I think one thing that I think this documentary does really well, and I've always thought this to be true, but I think this documentary, now that I'm watching it, is highlighting this. There's no in between if you're an athlete coming out of Florida. You're either an all pro or a complete fucking bust.
Yeah.
If you get to pro football, if you make it to the NFL, you either excel and you're a fucking Emmitt Smith, or you're a fucking like Danny Cannell who like fucking there was no in between. There's like You're an all-star or you're a fucking teaching somewhere and never played football again. And I think it's doing a really good job highlighting that. And the fact that they all spawn from the same coach, from the same philosophy of tenure, like you said, his stretch there. How do you produce all-stars and duds?
Right.
Right. Like, how does that? Because to put it in contrast, Alabama, basically, if you play at Alabama, you're guaranteed a pro career and you're usually fucking awesome. Right. So how do you, one guy's an all-star, one guy, same system, same coach, performed really well, is a complete fucking bust. I don't know. But they're highlighting that really well, and that maybe is a question to ponder about why. So it's interesting to me. I've always found that interesting, that anytime I see a team draft from Florida, I'm like, is this guy going to be the best ever, or we're never going to fucking hear from him again? And if you're a fan of a team, you're like, oh shit, we just drafted such and such. Yeah. We just gave up how many picks for this? Oh shit, it better be Emmitt Smith. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know.
Well, now we're heading over to Apple.
Yes. Another hidden gem. These two are correlated. by our beautiful and lovely Reese Witherspoon, Hello Sunshine.
Yes.
Both products of that. This one is a hidden gem. The other one was all in your face, massive hit. Probably everybody's heard of it. This one, not so much. Surface. About, and I can never say her name, Megbu Rotha Raw, kind of. She was in Loki. She's the timekeeper, the head of the timekeeping. Okay, you know who I'm talking about. She was also in the morning show. She's the one that, spoiler alert, killed herself. Okay. Anyway, she's a star of this show, and it starts off as a simple kind of thing. It's a woman with amnesia, and she doesn't remember much. She thinks that she tried to commit suicide by jumping off a ferry, and then she ends up getting hit by the fucking ferry, almost dies. She's got amnesia. She doesn't really remember anything. She's reacclimating into her life with her husband, right, and trying to remember things and trying to regain this life that she had and everything. But as it starts playing out, she starts seeing glimpses of things. And it starts to go, wait a minute. Did she jump off the boat? Was she pushed off the boat? Was it the husband? Was the husband in trouble? And that's the route they start to take you. And you're like, oh, fuck, this poor woman. The husband tried to kill her. Now he's thrilled that she has amnesia because she doesn't remember that he tried to kill her, kind of a thing. And then it just takes this like complete 180. And is she the shady motherfucker and was trying to get rid of him and made up the story that he tried to kill her to try to get rid of him because they were in financial trouble. And she only got with him because she knew he was rich and she was trying to jack him of his money, kind of a thing. And then there's this other guy who's a cop who knew and was trying to help her, kind of, but she didn't remember the cop, and then she did remember the cop, and is the cop involved or was the cop not involved? Because he's not necessarily a good cop. Then there's an English woman out of fucking nowhere. Is she a lesbian? Is she like in a relationship with this woman? Because all of a sudden she's starting to remember this woman. And I'm like, what the fuck? It was so brilliantly crafted that the second you thought you figured it out, you didn't know shit. Like, I still don't know shit. I just told you everything and I still don't know fucking shit. I can't figure it out. And the acting is fucking brilliant all the way around. Season 2 ends up kind of, we're going to back to London to figure out who this fucking chick is. Like, trust me, this is a hidden gem that if you like shit that makes you think, you want to watch this show. You definitely want to watch the show and you're gonna want to be the Batman. You're gonna need all your detective skills, Sherlock Holmes, Batman, whoever your favorite detective is, bring it in. Open the notebooks, start taking things down, watch it again, and take things that you thought you saw that you didn't see, kind of shit. I don't know any other way to. This is a fucking crazy ass show, but it's brilliantly done. Just check it out. Check it out. It's great.
Yeah, for sure, man. And definitely one of the other best shows that's on Apple TV alongside like Ted Lasso is The Morning Show. Of course, you all know that we have our background in broadcast journalism. So anytime that a concept like this gets presented, we're always very excited. And I think they're doing a really good job at navigating throughout world quote unquote crises or like Me Too movements leading into COVID-19. Now, maybe we can see like a presidential run. I think that would be kind of cool, especially with a new season is about to come out, or either maybe the first episode has come out.
Yeah, I think it's back. I think it's back this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where they navigate because a lot of things were left unanswered last season. So I just think, it's an amazing cast with an amazing story. And I like how they actually closed the chapter on Steve Carell's character because, that took up so much of the first season, which it needed to. That was the premise of it. But then it dipping their toes in it in the second season. So I'm glad they finally closed the chapter on that one and can move on to something else. So I think it's an amazing show and should deserve all the Emmys.
Oh, for sure. And as if Billy Crudup, Jennifer Aniston, and Reese Witherspoon weren't enough, right? Like if that doesn't draw you in, what the fuck? But then they bring in Juliana Margulies and fucking this season, John Hamm. What?
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's where I think they're going this season is like, because we worked in news, and one of the reasons that we were happy to exit from it is because now you're seeing these takeovers from these giant companies that come in and buy these news organizations these companies, these corporations have their own agenda, and they start dictating what you're putting on the air. You're no longer, non-biased. You're no longer, you just report it and never let you're being told what to say, how to spin it, how to sell it, as a news organization, that's a very hard thing to do. To be like, now you're being told what to say. And I think that's the area that they're going. But of course, it's the morning show, so it can't just be that simple. Apparently, John Hamm's character not only is coming in as the big corporate raider buying up the network, but apparently he's got a little past with Jennifer Aniston's character. And so how does that all come into it? Like, uh-oh. So, because it's got to be. You got to have some drama, right? But yeah, I'm excited like you. I think this season's going to be as brilliant as the past two, and fucking bring it. I love the fucking show. I'm addicted to it. It's just brilliant.
Same. Well, we want to know, what is your favorite show on your favorite streamer? Be sure to comment below in the YouTube comment section. Add us on Twitter, or X, I should say. And just, we love the fan interaction. It's so freaking fun.
Oh, yeah.
But now we're heading over to the top 5 segment, man. And this week it is least favorite comic book movies. And I think we did pretty good, because you guys know our least favorite Marvel movies. So we did pretty good about staying away from Marvel this time.
We did. We did. You're right.
So everybody already knows those ones. Yeah. But we wanted to put honorable mention. So this is both of our number 5 at Catwoman. This one, I mean, I remember being a kid and watching this and was like, this is bad. And I mean, as a kid, you don't really have any frame of reference of what a good movie is. But I was like, this is rough. And especially like when she would be like the purring and shit. I was not here for it.
The only single good thing about it was her costume.
Yeah.
And the costume was completely inaccurate and totally wrong, but it was Halle Berry in it, so it looked good. That's all I'm saying. But this one, you think Halle Berry, Benjamin Bratt, right? Like, yeah, I think it is Benjamin Bratt. It's a great cast. It is it's god fucking awful. It's not anywhere near Catwoman. I feel bad for Halle Berry because I feel like Michelle Pfeiffer definitively stamped Catwoman, and like to have to try to follow that, and they even tried to connect the two characters. They made reference to Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. If you missed that in any of it, like go back and watch, you'll see what I'm talking about. They make didn't work. It fucking sucked. Fucking sucked. I say go check it out, go watch it, see if you can find don't fucking watch it. Don't.
I was just about to say.
In fact, all of these, don't fucking watch them. Just trust us and don't fucking watch.
Exactly. Number 4 for me, which is kind of funny because it's the Fantastic Four, the latest iteration with Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, and the others. I remember being in high school when this one came out. Me and my friend went and watched it, and just by the end of it, we were like, that wasn't good. Like you got wait to the climax and it just being over real quick. So I just, I'm hopeful for Marvel. I hope they are able to finally do some justice to this super family. I think it's an amazing concept, but yeah, just the iterations we've seen before, and with not really being a comic book person before watching the original ones that came out in the early 2000s, I wasn't fans of those either. But this one specifically was garbage. So Fantastic Four, the newest one.
Yeah. And, I was really disappointed. I had a lot of hope for this one because, and for the life of me, the name of the other movie that I'm trying to reference is just not popping in my head. But the filmmaker of this one had done another movie about young kids with powers and these things, and it was fucking brilliant. It was great. And I was all in. I'm like, you're lining me up this cast, which are all phenomenal, right? And then you're giving me this guy who pulled off that and then I was like, what the fuck happened? What? These are like Oscar-worthy actors with a film guy that seemed to have understood the concept for Fantastic Four with his last movie. I was all in. And then it was, oh, what the fuck? It was, it was god awful. God awful.
And trying to see, was it the director you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic Four Chronicle.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
is that one?
Yeah. And I was all in. I was like, this guy's going to nail it. This guy's going to do it. And it just did not. It did not. Which is funny because I felt the same way about another actor and role and director. And I was fucking fired up and all in. And it ended the same way as that Fantastic Four movie did. And it's on my list. And we're going to discuss it. In fact, we're going to discuss it right now. We're going to jump in with my number 4, Batman Forever. George Clooney, right? No, George Clooney was Batman and Robin, correct? Batman Forever, Val Kilmer.
Yep.
Okay, all right. So we'll get to Batman and Robin. We'll get to my story. Batman Forever, Joel Schumacher, right? All I have to say for this, and this should be enough for you to realize not to ever fucking watch it. Batman with nipples, the Batmobile with neon colored wheels. Done. Why is it on my list? That's why. Worst, The Dark Knight strikes terror into the heart of bad guys. You don't ever want to cross this guy. You'll fear for your life. He's going to put the ass whooping on you. He had fucking nipples and neon wheels. Goddamn. What the fuck? This is not bad. He made the campy Adam West Batman look scary, for Christ's sake. This is Batman. You're coming off of Tim Burton's dark, phenomenally successful version. This is supposed to be the continuation of what the ever-living fuck. Gotham City doesn't have neon lights. It's not a bright circus. Woohoo, everybody's happy. Batman is supposed to be terrifying. None of that happened in Batman Forever. It was an over-the-fucking-top performance of the Riddler. If you liked Riddler in The Batman recently, you would have fucking hated it. It was Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. There was no fucking Riddler to be found. It was just Jim Carrey in a fucking Riddler suit. That's all, like, over-the-top fucking Mr. Freeze with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It just... Tommy Lee Jones, who's a brilliant fucking actor, was the most god-awful performance I've ever seen in his career trying to play Two-Face. Every fucking thing about this movie sucked. And I was a huge fan of Joel Schumacher. Lost Boys. I'm like, fucking right. He's already done vampires. He understands Batman. Apparently fucking not. So I just, like, this movie was made to sell fucking merchandise for McDonald's. They sold the shit out of Batman Forever glass mugs and cups and all this kind of shit. This movie was a merchandise grab, and the only fucking thing it was worth. That's it. Because it fucking sucked. And that's it. I'm
just saying.
Just saying. Number 4, Batman Forever.
Yes. Number 3 for me goes to Push. I'm sure not even a lot of people have seen this film.
No, facts.
Chris Evans, this man, before Captain America, kept doing his attempts at superhero movies or some sort of super genre, but made a lot of fails. Okay, some of them definitely fell on their face, but I mean, you got like Dakota Fanning in it, Camilla Bell, Chris Evans, like Digimon Hanso, the dude we can never pronounce his name. But like so many different things, and it was an interesting concept, you know, being able to move things kind of like Miss Marvel does with the abilities and stuff like that. But I don't know, something about it, man. I remember this might have been like one of the first dates I ever went on in like 7th or 8th grade, and I'm just like, I'm sorry we decided to go to this one. It's so bad, but it's kind of surprising because IMDb has it for 6.1 out of 10. I would have definitely thought it would have been lower, but don't watch this movie. Don't go out and look for it. It's not good.
It's Push not good, and 3. I bet that 6 point whatever is just love for Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Because the movie is definitely not that. It is definitely not that.
No.
Yeah. I would agree with everything you said. I was highly disappointed with that movie, and yet another one with a really good cast.
Yeah.
Like, just goes to show you can have fucking Oscar-worthy actors that can't save a bad script. That's all I'm saying. It's just...
Exactly.
So I wanted to give Joel Schumacher a second shot. Lost Boys.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he was just really fucked up one day when he did Batman Forever. Maybe he just like was having a bad fucking day. I don't know. Gonna give him another shot. The man knows vampires. Lost Boys is one of the greatest vampire movies ever. It's like, it's awesome, right? Fucking awesome. Now he's bringing in George Clooney from dusk till fucking dawn. A badass motherfucker. It's a vampire movie. This guy, suave and debonair, that's fucking Bruce Wayne. He's gonna nail Bruce Wayne. Then he gets into the dark, gritty shit in From Dusk Till Dawn. He's gonna nail fucking Batman. Joel Schumacher is gonna rebound. He's gonna bring this home. He's gonna redeem himself. There were more fucking neon lights, bigger fucking nipples, and they're like, what the? And a giant fucking codpiece. If it could have gotten any fucking worse, then they bring in Robin, who's got the Nightwing logo. Like, it's not even, you don't even know who he fucking is. Is he Robin or Nightwing? We don't know because he's got, you're calling him Robin, but he's dressed like fucking Nightwing. What the fuck? Then they bring in Batgirl, who's anything but Batgirl. She was a fucking just Alicia Silverstone. What the fuck were you thinking saying yes to this piece of shit? Like, he did not redeem himself. He fucking buried himself. That was it for me and Joel Schumacher. I'm like, if I saw Joel Schumacher was coming out with a new movie, I ran as fast as I fucking could in the other direction. It was just not good. Future reference to anybody making a Batman and or Superman or any superhero film. Don't put fucking nipples on the suit. Christopher Reeve wore a skin-tight suit. No padding there. He worked his ass off. That was all real muscle. No padding. Skin fucking tight. Did you see his nipples? No, you fucking did not. It was painted on. You still didn't see his nipples. You don't need nipples on a fucking superhero suit. Not even a woman's superhero suit should we be seeing nipples. It hurt me for many, many years. Thank God for Christopher Nolan and Batman Begins, because if Batman and Robin had been the last image of Batman on film that I had known, I would have fucking cried forever. Thank God for Christopher Nolan going, let's fix that shit.
Let's do something else, please.
Because, oh my God. All right.
Yeah. Number 2 for me, I know you say this was the end of a chapter for Superman.
Tried to be,
yeah. He was trying to carry a torch for another historical figure. But Superman Returns. I was just not a fan of this one. It was very boring. I was very, very excited to see this film. I was excited for all the action sequences. I think this is the reason why Superman doesn't mean as much to me as he does due to other people, because this is honestly my first introduction to him. I didn't watch any of the cartoons or anything like that. So this was the first introduction to Superman for me. So this is probably why he doesn't mean as much to me. But yeah, I just was very disappointed. I think this may have been the first movie I had actually fallen asleep in the theater. So yeah, man, I just, and I like Brendan Routh. But I just, it wasn't what I was hoping for.
So I'm going to cement that with, because it's funny, because this movie was made in direct correlation to try to fix my number 1 movie on the list here.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a tribute to Christopher Reeve, and Brandon Routh, I will just say this, nailed it. He was the epitome of Christopher Reeve. He sounded like him. He looked like him. He understood the slouch to Superman. He got Clark Kent right. He got Superman right. You nailed it. The movie was fucking boring as shit. I see Kevin Spacey and they show that one little trailer and he's got the kryptonite and Superman's on the ground and he's like the bald head and he's like, wrong! And I'm thinking, holy fuck, this is going to be amazing. It was boring as fuck. There was no action. There was no fucking action. The best scene in the whole thing is when he's stopping a bank robbery and the bullet is shot into his eye.
Yep.
That's basically the most Superman thing in the film. The rest of it was boring as fuck. He kept repeating lines from the originals, right? Mm-hmm. And it just... They had real potential there. They showed the sun. If you're a fan of Superman 1 and Superman 2, you know that he gave up his powers and did the magic with Lois. She got pregnant. They never addressed that, but now we know that happened and they had a kid and he's there. And there was so much potential. And it's just like, what the fuck? I give no fault to, and I drop nothing bad or harsh on Brandon Routh. He did what he needed to do. It was just a bad script with a bad story, with bad direction, and a bad concept. Christopher Reeve would have understood that, I think. And Brandon Routh redeemed himself in the Arrowverse when they suited him back up as the Kingdom Come Superman and proved this guy can play Superman. That was just a bad vehicle to play Superman in. And I felt bad for him because he did his very best to try to do it right, and it just was not going to happen. It's just, no, I'm right there with you. Fucking sucked. My number 2 is in the same vein of Superman. I really don't have to say a bunch about this to understand why you shouldn't watch this movie. Shaquille O'Neal, Steel. One, I'm pissed off about it because Steel is a John Henry, which, by the way, if you want to see the correct John Henry irons and the correct version of Steel, watch fucking Superman and Lois. Brilliant interpretation, very comic book accurate, awesome suit, gets the whole thing. Shaq did not. Steel did not. The writers did not. Shaft was fucking in it. Richard Roundtree, the original Shaft's fucking in it. We don't need Shaft and Shaq. We don't need Shaft and Shaq in a Steel movie. If you're not familiar with what Steel is, John Henry Irons is one of the replacements for Superman with the death of Superman. When Superman died and was gone, these 4 people, the Eradicator, Superboy, Steel, they took over as the Supermen. Steel was one of those. Great storyline. Pisses me off still because I killed Superman. I fucking killed him. Just saying. Fucking Dan Jurgens. But anyway, so I was initially pissed. Like, motherfuckers, there's a Steel cat. And then I was like, okay, Steel, cool. They're coming out with a movie. And then they announced Shaq. And I'm like, Shaq? Like, still playing basketball. This wasn't after retirement, guys. This is still playing basketball. Like he couldn't act. It sounded like he was reading every fucking line. And by the way, the dialogue was god fucking awful. So when you can't act and you're delivering god fucking awful dialogue, you just stop. Just fucking stop. Kazam was a better fucking movie than Steel. And Kazam sucked. So I don't even know what to say. This should have never fucking been made. Never. They were trying to capitalize on the popularity of Shaq. Didn't work. Failed on every fucking level. Sucked. Do not watch it. If Steel, watch Superman and Lois. That's all I'm saying.
That's it.
Otherwise, do not even look at this. If you see it anywhere, don't even look at it. Shade your eyes. It's that fucking bad. Don't even look at it. It's bad.
Well, alrighty then. Number 1 for me goes to Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This one was set up so well. Now, don't get me wrong. I felt like the original Venom with Tom Hardy, it was a solid 3.5 out of 5. Nothing crazy, but they set up Carnage, which that was supposed to be, other than Spider-Man, that's going to be like the big baddie for this anti-hero. So everybody was pumped. But then they released the duration of the film, an hour and a half. I'm like, okay, I already know it's not going to be good. I already know. But I still try to go in with that open mind. And come on, you have Woody Harrelson fucking playing Carnage. And I just, it really fell right on its feet, or it really fell right on its face, because like, first you get presented Carnage and he's this big baddie that nothing is going to kill him. He's always going to adapt to everything. He's going to be fine. He's going to kill you no matter what. But then he doesn't, and he gets defeated. And that's basically the movie. Like, it's nothing like in depth. There's no real like drama. So yeah, I was very disappointed in this film, and I think that's probably why I hold such a big grudge towards it. So Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Again, I just want to state, much like I did with Brandon Routh, this is to no disfault to Woody Harrelson or Tom
No.
Hardy. They
No.
played the characters really well. This is a poorly executed script with poorly executed direction, and it was rushed. This movie happened. It's a pure filler fluff. It's a filler movie because it was supposed to be Venom and Spider-Man. But the delay with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange forced them to not be able to do the storyline on the timeline that they wanted to and they needed to fill. And they said, fuck it, let's just do Carnage. We'll get to Spidey, right? The whole plan was always the big battle everybody wanted to see, Venom and Spider-Man. And the MCU, with their delay, fucked that. So Sony's like, well, shit, we still need a fucking Venom movie. Let's just throw this shit together, put it out there, boom. Well, that's what happens when you throw shit together and put it out there. Venom, let there be carnage. So,
Exactly.
I would like to see them bring Woody back.
I would too.
Revisit Carnage. Let's try it again when done properly. I think it would be brilliant.
Agreed.
My number one, you know how I feel about Christopher Reeve. You know how I feel about Superman. His Superman. Definitive Superman. Always will be. This movie, it's the single greatest fucking disaster, horrible version of a superhero movie I've ever seen in my life. This movie was done. 3 did not go over well with Richard Pryor. There was a couple good scenes where he, like, the weird kryptonite made him turn dark and evil. It, like, separated him. And he was drunk and he was flicking peanuts and hitting people and screaming at little kids. And that was cool when the good Superman, bad Superman battled each other so he could only good thing about Superman 3. But it did not go over well. People did not like it. And Christopher Reeve basically said, okay, I'm done. I'm walking away from the franchise. This is no good. It's time to move on. Warner Brothers wanted another Superman movie. So Christopher Reeve, being the good guy that he is, and keep in mind, this is during the time where the nuclear proliferation, Russia, America kind of thing. He only agreed to do the movie if it made a political statement about Superman ridding the world of nuclear weapons. So the bad guy was the nuclear man. And it was about Superman basically walks into the fucking United Nations and says, I'm fucking Superman, you can't stop me, and you people don't know shit, so I'm going to go around the world and collect all the fucking nuclear weapons, and I'm going to fucking get rid of them. Luthor finds out about this, devises a way, takes a little bit of Superman's DNA, mixed nuclear, here comes Nuclear Man. Fucking most god-awful bad guy you've ever seen in your life. Stupid fucking origin, stupid fucking powers, stupid fucking costume, looked awful. The special effects in Superman and Superman 2 rival even some of the CGI shit we see today. You see that man flying, you think he's fucking flying. It looks so real and so there. Superman 4, you see the cables. You see the fucking cables when he's flying. They didn't even take the time to fucking remove them from the film during editing. You see the fucking cables. He takes this girl, this woman, who, by the way, is not Lois. There's this new reporter kind of thing, or played by Mariel Hemingway. God-awful, fucking horrible performance, whatever. There's a scene where they're fighting, and he's trying to save her, and they fly up into space. He leaves the atmosphere. They're in space. Is she in a fucking spacesuit? Does she have a globe? Is he giving her mouth to mouth? No. He can fucking hold his breath and be fine in space. She can't, and yet there they are. Superman's flying this woman with no fuck. How is she? She should have fucking died instantly. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? What are we doing to the granddaddy of them all? Kevin Feige, Jeff Johns, all of them. This is the one they aspire to be. This is why Superman Returns happened. Everybody at Warner, everybody in the world of ever said, let's forget that 3 and 4 ever fucking happened. Let's pretend like they don't even exist, and let's finish Christopher Reeve's trilogy the right way. To which they didn't do. They still fucking got it wrong, which is why it was on your list. But yeah, it is. I've never seen the epitome of the perfection of Superman and Superman 2, which basically all one long-ass movie. And then the utter complete failure of anything right ever with Superman 4. It was the most drastic turnaround in cinematic history. I just don't know what the fuck happened. Like, it was like, ugh. So there you go. Mine, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. It should have really been Superman 4, The Quest to Find a Movie. Because there was none to be found in it. Like, nothing. Just bad. But Christopher Reeve got paid, and he got to make his political statement, and everything was fine.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's what it is, guys. Our top 5 least comic book movies. Please be sure to let us know what your least favorite comic book movie is. We're all about it. We're all about the social interaction. So be sure to add us below. Now heading over to the box office recap. Number 1 came in with Nun 2 doing pretty well with 33 million. Number 2 was Equalizer 3 with 12 million. Number 3 was My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 with 10 million. Number 4 was Jawan with 6.2 million. And number 5, still hanging in there, is Barbie with 5.9 million. And new movies coming out that you can go see this weekend are A Haunting in Venice, Camp Hideout, and that is about it. And of all the other movies that I have listed above, but be sure to head over to your local cinemas and just have a good old time with your family.
Yes.
That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Because movies you can go see: Blue Beetle, Gran Turismo, Strays, Bottoms, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
Yes.
And of course, the IMDbPro's top trending segment, Oppenheimer, is still hanging on at the top trending movie. That's so freaking awesome.
Right? Like,
it's crazy. I mean, that came out like 2 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, the whole Barbenheimer thing has Barbie's just kind of faded, and Oppenheimer is still like everybody's talking about it. So, yeah.
I love it. The top trending TV show is One Piece, so that's very exciting. It did get renewed for a second season, so be sure to check that one out. I did go back and watch more episodes, and it does get better as the series goes forward, so that is always nice. And the top trending star is Emily Rudd, just rocking and rolling.
There you go. She's from One Piece, right? Isn't she? I think so. Yeah. So
yeah,
makes sense.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for getting crazy with us on episode 234. We got to thank all of you for listening. We got to thank our podcast producer, Jason, for just doing so many amazing things. And our thoughts and prayers go out to him because he just recently had a death in the family. So our thoughts and prayers are with him. And if anybody else can, think about him or pray for him, that would be amazing as well.
Sure would.
But we just want to say thank you again. Be sure to follow us everywhere on social media at Crazy Ant Media and the podcast at ITCAFpodcast. And you guys know you can follow us both personally on social media. Myself at Logan Austin and
at Crazy Ant CEO.
Yeah, buddy. And you guys know you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast. We are on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. And you can even find us on the YouTube. Be sure to like the video below, comment, subscribe, all of the good things. And of course, be sure to ring that bell so you can stay up to date with all the latest and greatest notifications coming out of Hollywood and Crazy Ant Media.
Yes.
But man, oh man, I love doing stuff differently with the podcast, right? Being able to deep dive into some of our favorite shows and even to being able to serenade our guests with some of our favorite theme songs from our shows. I felt like was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's always good to change it up and get a little crazy sometimes, right?
Yeah, and I love it. It was the good versus evil because it was like, here's all of our favorite shit that we love and can't talk enough about, and here's everything we fucking hate. It was a great show, like a back and forth, which was really fun. We didn't plan it that way, but that's how it came out, and it just worked really well. So, definitely watch this. Stay the fuck away from this. That's which is great. But I'm like you. I like every now and then to just kind of change it up. Quickly and briefly for anybody that needs to know, supposedly the WGA and the studios are trying to decide on a date to resume negotiations this coming week. That didn't happen the last time. They couldn't come to a date, and so they didn't do it. We'll see. Maybe it gets a little better this next time. Visual effects artists for Marvel did indeed go on strike, authorized to strike and form a union. So if that happens, look out. Uh-oh, here it comes. And Lando is getting a movie. We talked about it briefly, but there you go. Those were the kind of like the big headlines that kind of came out. There wasn't a whole lot going on, which is why we did what we did. But just in case, we want you to know if they're talking about it, we're talking about it. There it is. Everything you need to know.
Yes, that's right. We're always in the know.
Yes.
And you know who else is always owns the know and who knows everything? The one, the only,
Oprah!